We are live. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Happy Wednesday, Thanksgiving Eve. Hope everybody is doing well. Today, we're going to be covering a new case, Hannah Kobayashi, who went missing on, I believe, November 11th. This is the first time covering this case, so if I do get anything wrong, I'm sure other people may have been following this case, so if I get any details wrong, please correct me in the chat. But I did try to do a pretty big deep dive on this case. This is a wild one with two main theories, which we'll get into, and then maybe we'll do a poll for those that haven't heard the story yet. But yeah, this is a wild case, and I feel really bad for the family because right now they just had a terrible tragedy. They're looking for their daughter, and then the father takes his own life after investigating it, and it is just really strange. So we will get right into it. Shout out to my wonderful mods. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, as always, for the hard work. And let's play intro just to get you guys familiar with the case for those that haven't heard it.
Here's what we know. It was on Friday, November 8th. Hannah flew from Maui. Where is Hannah Kobayashi, the 30-year-old woman from Hawaii who went missing 15 days ago on her way to visiting her aunt in New York? Here's what we know. It was on Friday, November 8th. Hannah flew from Maui to Los Angeles and missed her connecting flight to New York. Saturday, November 9th, Hannah was seen at the Grove Shopping Mall. It's a popular mall in downtown LA where she went to a bookstore to charge her phone. Sunday, November 10th, Hannah went back to the Grove and was seen in the background of a video attending a LeBron James event. Then on Monday, the 11th, Hannah went back to the airport. At some point, she sent some very concerning texts. She was saying that she was scared and had been tricked, quote, into giving away all my funds for someone I thought I loved. That same night, Hannah was reportedly seen leaving the airport with an unidentified person. But later that night, surveillance video, which has not been released, shows Hannah at a train station, also with an unidentified person. I spoke to Hannah's aunt a few days ago about the video. Take a listen.
There's no reason that Hannah would go there unless she was misled, unless she was forced to, or unfortunately now we're thinking unless she was drugged. It made us extremely alarmed to the point where we started sounding the alarm as loud as we could.
Okay, so that is the intro I put together on hers. Let me back this out a little bit and pause it here. Ooh, wait for me. So yeah, 31-year-old, I put 30 there, but that's 31 years old, I believe. That's what it says here. All right, let me get this set up so you guys can see it well. If you guys can, please hit that like button. Get awareness out for Hannah and her family. Let's get into the backstory a little bit of Hannah. Oh, okay, so the backstory to Hannah, on November, she had plans to travel from Maui, Hawaii, to New York. So she was going to fly to LAX and then connect to a flight that would then connect to New York. She was going there with her then boyfriend. NBC News reports that the 30-year-old aspirant, so I don't know, sometimes they report her as 30 and then some say 31. Does anybody know in the chat? I guess I should have looked that up better, but I keep seeing two different age things. But either way, 30. So she was going to go explore New York. I think she's an aspiring photographer. She was going to check out a bunch of different things. There was also a gig. There's an itinerary that we'll look at as well. And I think she was even going to go to the 9/11 memorial. And then she had an aunt that lived upstate in New York. Before the trip arrived, however, Kobayashi and her boyfriend broke up. Unable to get a refund for their flights, the exes apparently kept their plans intact, agreeing to go separate ways once they arrived at JFK. But Hannah's sister, Sydney, I'm sorry, told CNN that Hannah didn't board her connecting flight in Los Angeles and never made it to New York. Her family last heard from Hannah on November 11th. Let's see, looking at chat here. Born 1993. So, yeah, unless she was birthdays in December, then that would put her as 31, right? 93. So, thank you for that. So yeah, traveling to New York for the trip, landed in LAX for a layover on November 8th. Oops, that went a little bit fast. I guess I should have slowed this down a little bit. According to surveillance, Hannah did not attempt to catch her connecting flight. She was last heard from on November 10th, and her phone pinged on November 11th. Actually, she was last heard from November 11th with some strange text messages, which we'll look into for those that haven't heard it. These are wild. Kind of gives the Gabby Petito vibe, where it's, is her actually texting. The family members feel like somebody else is using her phone, sending these messages. If you haven't seen or read them, we'll go over them. But so she gets to LAX November 8th, misses the connecting flight. And then we'll start with November 8th. So they have a picture here where it looks like she's exiting. At 9:53, she got into LAX on Friday, November 8th. Then, of course, she was supposed to make a connecting flight, which for some reason she did not make. So she stayed overnight in LAX. So then we move into Saturday. Everybody's talking about everybody's getting ready for Thanksgiving tomorrow. That's awesome. So then November 9th, from noon to 3, she's at a bookstore, and she's charging her phone. At 2:43, she sends a photo to her aunt from the bookstore. And then later that evening, she's spotted at LAX. So I've heard some where she's apparently spending the night at like the airport. And then I've heard also she kind of mentions that she had a hotel. So I'm not sure if like one night she's at a hotel and one night she's at LAX. I don't know if anybody knows any more intimate details, if it's one or the other or if it's both. Then on November 10th, there's this place called The Grove, which we'll look at here in just a minute. She's spotted in this YouTube video that this guy, let me move this over just a tad here. There we go. And I do have the video, but there's TikTok videos a bunch of people made for this event. I was trying to look through them to see if I could find her, because there is quite a few videos of that event on that date. So it's possible there's other videos out there that could show her, kind of walking around. So we'll look at that. But she was spotted at that event, which is not far from LAX, but it's in the heart of kind of the downtown area. And then that evening on November 10th, she came back again at LAX. But as you can see here, it is, let me go back here. Let me see how many miles that is. So it's 12 miles, but in this area, it's a lot easier to get around by either cab, transportation of some sort. And anyway, so she went to the Grove, and then that evening she made it back to LAX. And here is the video.
For the Nike event. Bulldog was doing a sauce exchange, so you could bring.
So this was a YouTube video a guy uploaded. It's getting a lot more views than he probably was expecting, because he actually captured just a quick clip of Hannah just kind of at the event.
Bring in your sauces from home that were expired or you didn't like. They would exchange it for
Hey,
their
Sandy,
sauce.
good to see
Pepero is
you.
doing a pop-up where you get free snacks, maybe
Yeah.
more kind of style. The whole mall is starting to be
Yeah,
decorated
we'll
for
definitely
Christmas.
talk about
Lots
that,
of,
Alan.
Here's the fountain. Very
That's a
peaceful.
tough.
Back towards the store we go. This Apple Store is absolutely.
I just want to pause this. This is really cool. Not to sidetrack from the story, but that is really awesome how they have this store. It's an Apple store, I believe, and it's got mirrors on the ceiling. So it's got like that movie Inception type feeling. If you guys seen the Inception, I love that movie. But it's got that kind of feel to it where, it's like stuff's folding in on itself.
Nuts. The live trees and everything, the mirrored ceilings, probably one of the coolest places I've seen. Here's the LeBron
really cool.
James event. So here's the line to get in. You walk down the tunnel.
So here, and it's just a short clip, there she is with glasses. Looks like she's got headphones on and a backpack, and she's still wearing the same clothing. We'll see, there's only a few photos that's out there right now circulating, but it appears she's always wearing the same stuff. I'm assuming her clothing. So for anybody who doesn't know, I believe all of her stuff still went to New York, except for maybe her carry-on items. But she would get those back, I believe, on November 10th or 11th. But just a quick clip there. There she is. I mean, she looks pretty normal there. It says Apple Store in New York. It is a cube outside, and you go downstairs to the store. Pretty nice. Oh, that's pretty cool. So there's a quick little clip of her spotted. And then we move on. And this is where then things get weird. So November 10th, she's spotted. She looks alive and well. But then the weird text messages start coming in. So that event was Sunday, November 10th. And then her aunt receives some messages early that Monday morning. We'll go ahead and read them here. So it says, "Hi, loves. I just finished a very intense spiritual awakening. I'm charging my phone and heading back to the airport to get to New York. I might need some help getting there. It's a long story. I'll keep you posted. I think I still have my hotel room." So that's weird because there's kind of back and forth on, she was sleeping at the LAX and she mentions a hotel. So I don't know. Maybe she's telling the family she has a hotel, but she's really just sleeping at the airport. I don't know. And then she says, "Must see Tycho." Now that's in New York. I don't know what the Tycho thing is. I didn't get a chance to research that. If anybody knows in the chat, can elaborate on what the Tycho is. And then, of course, she says, "and you," which is, so she's kind of saying, I can't wait to get to New York, see Tycho, and you, meaning her aunt. "I'm going to see what I can do. Love you. Sorry for the craziness. Was definitely intercepted." So then the red flags start kind of coming up. And then she mentions hotel room is still active. So I'm assuming this part, the hotel room, is the hotel that she had booked in New York. Yeah. Actually, let me go back. Actually, I didn't even think about that. Okay, yeah, that's what she was probably meaning. I think I still have my hotel room in New York. Okay, that makes sense. Then she continues after the hotel room, "Feel free to come meet me. I understand if you can't. I'll keep you posted." Now she was in her itinerary. We'll look at, she has a meeting with her aunt at some point. Hopefully I can get away there with my reservation issue. But this part here where it says was definitely intercepted gets a little weird. And here's her itinerary that she kind of wrote out. We got November 9th, check into the hotel, different events, options. down here it says Tyco. The Brooklyn Steel, I don't know what that is. Anybody knows? It's familiar with New York. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to look at that. And then there's the J.W. Francis photography gig. I believe the J.W. Francis guy is also a musician, so I think it's maybe a live band. Again, I don't know much about it, but I did see a little bit.
No, today's been 12 days since we've last heard from her and since her phone has gone dead. And now
Yeah,
it's
intercepted.
kind of
Yeah, it is a
waiting
weird
there.
word.
The family did all they could to try to find, to try to
So this is the Aunt Laurel. I'll see it here in just
do
a
their own
second.
investigation, but now it's in the hands of the police and the investigators.
One thing I'm confused by is that she went back to the airport and was trying to, it sounds like, buy a ticket so she didn't have to be on standby. So if she went back to the airport, it sounds like she wanted to get to New York.
Oh, it gets weird.
So something,
It gets
I guess,
really
happened
weird.
from the time after she went back to LAX. Is that right?
Yeah, so from what we can tell, and just to let you know, she lived.
And I'll read the text messages for you guys, for those that haven't heard them. I'm just playing the ant clip, and then we'll look at them. I'll blow them up so you guys can kind of see them
At
better.
9:53 p.m. On Friday, so it was late in the evening. So what we can tell is that she was on standby. The reason that she was going, out to the same place, the Grove, she must have been staying there somewhere around that area. She felt safe there. It's very touristy. And then she was at the airport speaking with an American Airlines agent, and she was like, "I want to get out of here." And that kind of lines up with the frustration via the text messages. And then, on the 11th, it was just the strangest text, the most bizarre text. It caused such alarm in the family before we even knew something was wrong. And then, through our investigation, we were made aware of video footage of her on the metro late in the evening on the 11th and being, exiting the train at the Pico station at the Pico station at 10 p.m. is terrifying. It's dangerous. There's no reason that Hannah would go there unless she was misled, unless she was forced to, or unfortunately now we're thinking unless she was drugged.
Yeah, so just a little foreshadowing that haven't heard this story. Again, the two main theories are going to be either she went on this spiritual journey or she was abducted. Now, I think it's the latter, in my opinion. Some think it's the former, and then there's some people that think it's something to do with the family, which I highly doubt. But there was something. For those that aren't familiar with the story, the father came out to search for her, and he was on the news. And then, well, not to get ahead of myself, but he would end up taking his life. Let's see, November 24th, 11th, so 13, almost 2 weeks later after she went missing, which is just really odd. And then I also, for those that may not have heard, there is a podcast that actually got a hold of an interview with a person that believes, one of the kind of the last people to talk to Hannah on the subway. Just a little foreshadowing, which I do have at the end here. But we'll read these messages.
Well, we obviously haven't been able to see the surveillance video. Police haven't released it. I'm just thinking all these places she was are the kinds of places there would be a lot of cameras. The subway station, the shopping center, the airport. Has the family been able to look at any of the video? Because, as a family member, you can tell if someone's acting strange or if something is up.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, we don't want to hinder the investigation because it seems like the investigators are really starting to take us seriously now, which we are so grateful for. But what we can tell you is that it made us extremely alarmed to the point where we started sounding the alarm as loud as we could.
What, after seeing the video, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
After being made aware of the video.
Everyone's been so focused on the investigation, but tell us a little bit about Hannah, because it sounds like she was really excited to get to New York because this was a big deal job for her as a photographer, one of her first where she was going to make good money, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to her a couple times that week, in depth about what she should bring, what she should wear, how was the weather in New York. That she called me up 2 weeks before that, and she's like, "Auntie Rhea, I got a press pass." I mean, that had been on her bucket list forever to get a paid, photography gig. She'd been working up to it for the past 5 years. And she had an itinerary that she sent her mom that was like detailed. It had, like whole agendas of where to eat, what museums to go to. She had a hotel room that she paid, a couple $1,000s, that stayed empty the whole time.
Okay, Icy
It
Duck
doesn't sound like
says,
she would've-
I just want to read this. Her bio dad is... Now, is that the one that took his life? She has so she has a dad and a stepdad. I'm assuming with the same last name, it was the bio dad that took his life, but does have a stepdad. When they say dad, people get confused. Bio wasn't in her life. Yeah, so the bio dad was estranged. And I don't know, maybe he was trying to make up and try to look for her. I believe it was the biological dad. Yeah, biological dad died. Right. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. So let's read the messages real quick here for those that haven't heard it. And they are wild. Let me get them in order. I had to make sure I had them in order here because they get really weird. And I got an interview done with a guy because she did so I can't remember what date it was. Like it was like the 9th or the 10th, somewhere in there after she got to LA. She sent this Venmo to this guy, Jonathan Taylor. It's been out there. And it just said reading. That was all that was that we knew about it. And then we had this name. And so anyway, I have a small interview from that guy, the actual Jonathan Taylor, who appears to be paralyzed, disabled. But he, like I said, we got a little bit of interview from him as well. But so here, she sends her, I believe this is to her aunt, and this is on November 11th. Make sure I got it at the beginning here. Oh, no, this is to their roommate, right? I'm sorry, not the aunt. I'm sorry. This is to her friend. I apologize. So it says, I got hacked. Hacked by who? Stripped of my identity, Hannah says. I can't fly. And friend replies, wait, what? How'd you get to LA from Maui?
Cameras, the subway station,
Oh, let
the
me turn
shopping
this down.
center.
She replies, some weird shit, babe. And then her friend says, explain so I can try to help. I can't go to the police, which is really odd. Explain it to me. That way I can try to be of help to you. I got tricked pretty much into giving away all my funds for someone I thought I loved, which is really strange. That sentence there, because she's not out with anybody, right? She had a boyfriend and they split up before this, trip. So is this like another friend that she loved that, screwed it over? This is weird. It's such a weird statement here. But if all this is true, I can't imagine, going to, Los Angeles. I don't know if that's our first time being out there. And, such a big city, being in downtown, and then you lose, all your funds and you're just stranded out there. I mean, clearly you have family members and friends that are concerned. So it's weird that she's not reaching out, for help, money. Such a strange case. And then, so yeah, we're going to get even more into it. She says, I've been on the streets, which is scary. Then it continues. Let me take a sip here. I have stuff of value there, so I might have missed a few messages there. Her friend replies, you can go to the police, to the DMV. There are resources. She replies, I just need to rest and I'll think better, which is interesting. And then friend says, yeah, I'm really confused. And Hannah responds, but it's very complicated. And then this is where it really gets odd. So her friend says, "Did you get catfished?" And then she responds, "Matrix underworld shit girl." So obviously the Matrix movies, the red pill, being exposed to whatever, the real shit, whatever, kind of what she's trying to portray. Really odd. Oh, thank you. Again, it's my first time covering this case, so I'm sure I'll probably get some dates wrong and stuff. If I do, please correct me in chat. I'm trying, but I try to get as much as I can from many different sources. But yeah, that is such a weird statement. The whole Matrix, the red pill, stuff. And then she says, "This is way beyond me." Assuming this is her texting. So keep in mind, theories are that at this point, somebody else is texting for her. And then her friend replies, "Did you get catfished by some dude you were talking to on the internet?" "No, we met." So that's even more weird. I can't explain all of it. Just please be open with this, please. So it's really like she's really trying to justify this, whatever she's experiencing, if this is her texting. I don't know. Let me know if you think this is her texting in the chat. But I'm kind of 50-50 on it. It's odd. So then the friend says, "If you can't explain it, then, question mark." And then it gets really odd. "How can I trust you if you can't tell me the whole story? I'm talking to a couple of people in LA, but I need to know what's going on." And then here comes the big bombshell. "Deep hackers wiped my identity, stole all my funds, and had me on a mind F bomb since Friday." So that's interesting because, this is, I believe, on Monday. Look at so Friday was November 8th when she got into LAX, which was in the evening. So according to this, if this is her, she's saying once she got there that something happened, and now she's in this Matrix underworld, stuff, and really odd. Yeah, I know. That's what I would do right away. I'd be like, "Okay, I gotta talk. Like, what's going on? Like, I gotta hear. Is this you talking?" I do wonder, does anybody know? I couldn't get all the interviews because there's so many. Obviously, this has been weeks now, so there's been tons of interviews. Does anybody know if she tried to call? Because, yeah, that would be my first, if a friend was sending that, of course. Be like, I got to know, like, what's your mentality? Are you, under the influence of something, given something? So the friend replies, "They can't wipe your identity." Is that what they told you? This text seemed like misdirections. Yeah, it really does. This is where it gets just absolutely bizarre. You get the full. So the final message, it says, "I'm just really scared, love." And the redwoods it says it, but I think meant is. "The redwoods is calling me, and I know I'm meant to be there. I'm being guided there, like you have been before. I risk my freedom if this goes wrong for me, hun." So we'll listen to an interview, but the family says these are some of the words she's using is not typical to her vernacular in her text messages. She used funds, which is not a term she ever used, according to her aunt. "Stole all my funds." Interesting. Yeah, and there's more. We're going to be going down the rabbit hole, and so this is the redwoods. For those that are not familiar, redwoods is in California. Beautiful. I would love to go there. These amazing old trees, tall, beautiful. This is some scenery of the redwoods. Absolutely amazing. I just wanted to show that. But, she kind of claims that she's going to go there. I'm assuming, I don't know, the redwoods could mean something else, but that's the only thing I could think of. That's what they say, is that she doesn't use that kind of word, hun.
Either. No one has heard from her. Not a single person has heard from her. And that is unlike Hannah. Hannah checks in, like I said, I speak to her 2 to 3 times a week, about music, about dancing, about, a sunset that she saw. She's just that person. She's so communicative.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
Yeah. So here is all the way, just assuming she's talking about the actual redwoods, which is way on the other side. So she's kind of more in Southern California, LA, but the redwoods, as you can see, is almost way up there, 700 miles. That's assuming she's talking about those kind of redwoods. Yeah, that's right. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad some people, because I did hear that, and I didn't want to mention that unless that was true. So she has been to the redwoods before. Interesting. So that's kind of interesting because, she has been there before, and if somebody else was using her phone, it's got to be somebody close to her, or somebody that knew she mentioned the redwoods, or just got lucky and mentioned the redwoods. That's why I'm kind of like 50-50 on the messages. I could also think she could be kind of under the influence of something. There's many scenarios. Yes, I got a picture of that. I think it's Moki. Yeah, we'll continue going over the timeline because there's a little bit more here. So, let me take a sip. So, on November 11th, after we read those messages, and this is the last time she was physically seen here. And like I said, towards the end, I have a story from the guy that allegedly, not 100%, but they believe he spoke with the suspicious man and Hannah. So at 10 p.m. November 11th, Hannah was seen on CCTV footage, which has not been released to the public, which, in my opinion, unless they have leads that they're working, and so they don't want to release that. If not, I don't understand why they wouldn't release that and let people know. But it's possible maybe they identified this man, and he was just maybe a guy that was just kind of there with her at some point. But I don't know. Hopefully we'll get answered. The family gets answers. But so she was with the unidentified man. I believe African American man. I will listen to the report a little bit later. While in the video, it has not been released publicly, the family in the statement said it's evident that Hannah does not appear to be in good condition, and she is not alone. So they believe she could have been drugged. The identity of the man, what he was doing, what he knew her, and what role, if any, he played in her disappearance is still not known. So Hannah's phone was sending strange text messages, and then eventually the phone would die at LAX earlier on November 11th. And then, yeah, we'll look at the timeline here. But again, as someone who's always been in contact with her family, according to the family, she's always, pretty good with that. Now, nothing. Her phone is now off. So yeah, here's just a statement by from People Magazine, still talking about the stranger in Los Angeles after she got on the flight November 11th. According to her aunt, Laurie, she knows no one in L.A. Los Angeles Police Department tells People on November 20th that an investigation is ongoing and that there is no further information at this time. Then we have this. This is where it really gets weird, and there's kind of maybe some possible connections. So she paid for a reading to this Jonathan Taylor. I blocked out the names because I usually try to be careful with that stuff, but it's been blasted all over the internet, and he's already been reached. Now, a YouTuber, JLR, did an interview with Jonathan recently. I think it was today. I've got a small clip from that. We can hear from him. He seems to be disabled. I didn't get to hear the whole thing because I was doing like multiple tasks. But according to him, Jonathan, he says he was hacked. Which is very interesting because according to her, at least in some of her last messages, she said she was hacked. So there is something very fishy going on. Hey, Kelly, welcome. Thank you. Good to see you. No. As a matter of fact, Dog the Bounty Hunter actually knew her because she's from
the case of a missing Maui woman who vanished.
She's from Maui, Hawaii, which is where Dog is from. And he actually knew her. He said she smoked pot, which, in my opinion, I don't think pot's a big deal.
After landing at LAX, her father has been found dead right near the airport.
So then on November 24th, I think it's the 24th. This is her father, biological father. Now, he was estranged, but he went out looking for her. And this is where it gets really just bizarre.
Loved ones say he took his own life. Fox 11's Haley Winslow. She's live at LAX now with more tonight. Haley?
Marla, this is where things started to take a turn for the worse for Hannah Kobayashi when she missed her connecting flight on a quick layover, which then led to her disappearance in LA. And now in a very disturbing turn, yesterday morning about a mile away from here, her dad, who's been leading the search, took his own life.
It's almost too much for anyone to think, but we're still here.
One tragedy on top of another. Ron Kobayashi takes his own life after 2 weeks of exhausting the search for his missing daughter, Hannah.
He died of a broken heart. He broke.
Hannah's aunt, Laurie Pigeon, says they are fully confident she is alive in LA, but not safe.
What makes you believe she's in extreme danger?
The family has fears of her being sex trafficked and being held against her will.
Without disclosing details that could jeopardize the case, Pigeon says people have most recently spotted the 30-year-old Maui woman around Metro's Union Station and, quote, it didn't look good. Before suddenly vanishing, Kobayashi was seen on video exploring the Grove, Crypto.com Arena, and back at LAX on November 11th, trying to rebook the connecting flight she missed 3 days earlier. Then her phone went dead. Described as a responsible, level-headed woman who sticks to her plans, last week, family and friends shared with us her final strange text messages they say sound nothing like her. Deep hackers wiped my identity, stole all my funds. And I'm just really scared, love, and the redwoods if calling me. I risk my freedom if this goes wrong for me, hun. The day after Hannah disappeared, her dad got on a plane and Pigeon says was doing everything in his power to find her until he just couldn't take it anymore.
Mental illness is a thing. Sleep deprivation is a thing. Suicide is a thing. He never talked about himself.
So I think, it is strange. And a lot of people, of course, when it comes to the internet, you get, a missing woman and then a family member comes out and then all of a sudden they mysteriously die. But it's not, under mysterious circumstances. Apparently he just jumped off. And landed in some kind of parking lot, and took his own life. According to the family, he just unfortunately, just ran himself. Did too much, not enough sleep, and I don't know. Maybe he got some answers, and who knows? I mean, there's obviously a lot of theories in that, but that's just very tragic.
if he was okay or not. It's almost like, Hannah, if you met him, you just don't forget him. Yes, he was estranged from his daughter, but I would say it was more distant, and that guilt ate away at him as well. But he showed up when it mattered.
LAPD and the FBI, of course, have been on this case for the 2.5 weeks since she went missing. And more than donations to the GoFundMe, her family says they are in desperate need of more people volunteering their time to share her photo and her story in hopes of
She
her coming
did
home
see her.
safe
We'll look
and
at that
sound
here
soon.
in a
Now,
minute.
if you or a loved one are feeling distressed, you can, of course, call the National Suicide Hotline. You can call or text them at 988 or go to 988lifeline.org. Reporting live here at LAX, I'm Haley Winslow, Fox 11 News.
Very sad update there, Haley. Thank you so much.
So here's just kind of a map of, the timeline, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this because there's a lot. But again, she's there. She gets there November 8th. It's late. That's a Friday. Now, her baggage that she had, I'm assuming it had her clothing because, all the photos we see, she's wearing basically the same outfit, some kind of like tie-dyed pants and a hoodie and a backpack. And then I'm assuming the luggage went to New York, and then since it wasn't picked up, it came back to LAX, which she did pick up on November 11th. It's one of the last things she did before she went on this train, metro line. I'm sorry, that's what I meant to say. And she went two different directions, and I have an interview which is very interesting with a guy that apparently was on that train and supposedly not only talked to her but the alleged unidentified person of interest. Again, we don't know if he is involved or not, but we'll definitely take a look at that. We almost got 500 people in here. If you can, please hit that like button. If you'd like to support the channel, there's many ways to do so in the chat. There's links and also in the description. It does help this channel out. We do not only cover the missing, but we do actually go out and search. Right now it's kind of the winter time, so we're kind of bogged down. But there is a case out here in Utah that I might go investigate. I just have to see kind of how the weather is, but we may talk about that more. But here is that picture. So as you can see, and I'll show a side by side, you can see this is her, and this was posted in a Facebook group that was, I think, led by the family. I could be wrong, but it says, photo of Hannah getting off her plane in Maui, LAX. Her luggage is currently at New York City. She was getting off Avalon at 9:20. She was with an African-American male. Told this woman she was from Maui. Seemed tired and out of it and had a suitcase with her. There are photos of her picking up her suitcase from LAX on Monday. So I'm assuming this is the picture from Monday. I could be wrong because obviously she's wearing the same clothes, but I don't recall ever seeing her with this little carry-on bag here. That's her backpack we usually see her with. So I believe maybe this is the luggage that she was sent to New York and then came back. If anybody knows any more in the chat, please let me know. But it does say likely November 11th when she got her luggage back. But this would be right now until we have to see the surveillance. This is actually kind of like the last picture that we have as far as the public, and this is at I have the time here somewhere, but it's later towards, I think, the evening, I believe. Yeah, you're right. That is where the luggage pickup is. There's the conveyor belt or whatever they call it there. I don't do much flying. Oh, thank you, Louise. Yes, it does help. So moving on, again, we're going to listen to an interview, and It's not with the actual guy, but they read it out, what he had said. But here's some pictures. I just wanted to show side by side because I just wanted to see like if there was any change, because obviously these are days apart, and I wanted to see if there was any kind of difference in her demeanor or appearance. But what we can see is she's still kind of got those tie-dyed pants. Looks like the same sneakers. Appears to be the same hoodie. It's kind of got some patches on the right-hand side here, and some, not sure what the hoodie is, and then glasses. But we will look at the last areas that she was seen and listen to the interview that was played. Oh, thank you so much, Judy. So just a little bit about the father, just to kind of get into that for a second, and we'll move on to her last movements here. But really tragic. Father of missing Hannah was found dead in a parking lot near Los Angeles Airport around 4 a.m. In the statement, says the 58-year-old tragically took his own life. They did release, I think, part of the autopsy or medical report, which he suffered blunt force injuries, which I'm assuming jumping, that kind of taking your life, jumping off a tall area. But the family believes that he just kind of wasn't getting enough sleep, and it just took a mental toll on him, and sadly was too much. There's also speculation maybe he found out some information. There is obviously the two main theories: either she was kind of trafficked, or she's on some spiritual journey. I lean more towards an abduction, in my opinion. I don't see why she would do this to her family. I don't know why just not reach out to a third party and say, hey, can you just let them know I'm fine? They can easily do that. She can call the police and say, hey, I'm alive, because she's an adult. They don't have to give away her location. We've seen that happen before.
Vanished after landing at LAX. Her father has been found dead right near the airport.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
He took his own life. Fox 11's Haley Wizzo. She's live at LAX now with more tonight. Haley?
Marla, this is where things started to take a turn for the worse for Hannah Kobayashi when she missed her connecting flight on a quick layover, which Marine Pigeon says they are fully confident she is alive in LA, but not safe.
What makes you believe she's in extreme danger?
The family has fears
I don't.
of
if
her
anybody in
being
the
sex
chat
trafficked
does.
and being held against her will.
Without disclosing details that could jeopardize the case, Pigeon says people have most recently spotted the 30-year-old Maui woman around Metro's Union Station, and, quote, it didn't look good. Before suddenly vanishing, Kobayashi was seen on video exploring the Grove, Crypto.com Arena, and back at LAX on November 11th, trying to rebook the connecting flight she missed 3 days earlier. Then her phone went dead. Described as a responsible, level-headed woman who sticks to her plans. Last week, family and friends shared with us.
So I think there's two possibilities. Well, actually, maybe three. They did find him, and he's not a suspect, but they don't want to release that because then public will dive into it and tear up his life if he had nothing to do with it. Second, maybe they're still trying to figure out this person. They don't want to give out those details and spook the killer, or suspect, not killer, I'm sorry. Not jumping ahead, I'm sorry. Suspect or person of interest. And maybe they don't want to, again, if they have leads to maybe find him, they may not want to release that yet. But this is part of that Metro. There's a bunch of different lines that she took, and we'll look at those as well.
Her final strange text messages, they say, sound nothing like her. Deep hackers wiped my identity, stole all my funds. And I'm just really scared, love, and the redwoods if calling me. I risk my freedom if this goes wrong for me, hun. The day after Hannah disappeared, her dad got on a plane, and Pigeon says was doing everything in his power to find her.
Says she's been taken
until
off the
he just couldn't take it anymore.
Mental illness is a thing. Sleep deprivation is a thing. Suicide is a thing. He never
Okay,
talked about
let me
himself.
fast forward
He never
this.
said
I
if he was
accidentally
okay or
put
not.
this interview in twice. Okay, so now we're going to start going into the different theories, and then we'll listen to the guy. That'll come up in about 20 minutes here. But here is an investigator. Some probably have heard of him, Steve Fisher. He's been involved in the Kylie Rodney case, Sebastian Rogers. Some like him, some hate him. But let's just hear what he had to say. So he apparently went and investigated. I'm not sure how long, but here's very interesting. So here's one scenario that could have played out. So he says, I finished searching for Hannah for the day and decided to step back from the search altogether. I've seen much of the evidence, and I now believe there's a strong possibility that Hannah is seeking time alone and may be exploring a spiritual path. Now, I have some issues with that. Not to say that couldn't be true, but considering now we just had the death of her father, even though they were estranged, I would think, if they're trying to search for her and it's driving, family members to take their lives, you would think at the very least she would reach out. I mean, unless she's just cut off from, social media and everything altogether, then I guess you could maybe rationalize that. But if not, I cannot see why she wouldn't at the very least reach out. Jesse says, I live in the area of where she is seen around throughout LA. Every time I'm driving around, I'm looking. Oh, that's awesome. Bless you. Let's hope, the family and her is safe and they get answers. So continuing on, one detail that continues to raise questions is her travel itinerary. We were informed that she was flying from Maui to JFK, which is New York. However, the surveillance footage shows her deplaning LAX without any bags, followed by footage of her leaving the LAX baggage claim area with a suitcase and a backpack, displaying claim tickets. If her bags were only checked to LAX, then her ticket was only booked to LAX. By law, passengers cannot check their luggage to a destination they are not traveling to. Even if her bags were rerouted, this would mean she filed a report at LAX and remained there for at least 16 hours to retrieve them. So that's kind of interesting. Additionally, Hannah posted on Instagram from an event, The Grove in Los Angeles. She had previously expressed a desire to visit the redwoods in Northern California, which, again, from where she's at is 700 miles north. She's basically in more or less Southern California, SoCal, and that the redwoods is in NorCal, way out there. Citing a deep personal connection to the area. She even has close friend posting and encouraging her to continue her path to stay on her journey. So it's interesting. Has this close friend been in contact? Does he know? And again, even if this friend knows, like, if she's on this path, why aren't they just saying, hey, we've heard from her. She's fine. No worry to, for the public to worry, well, especially the family, but the public as well, who are probably, I know there's been some GoFundMes out there, and, I don't like giving out GoFundMes because I've seen so many time and time again where they backfire. But continuing on, he says, despite media reports suggesting hard evidence that Hannah is being drugged and trafficked, the LAPD has classified her as voluntary missing person. So, meaning, I'm assuming that she's just voluntarily missing, not involuntary. If there were concrete evidence of abduction or trafficking, she would be categorized categorized as endangered, and her case would be handled. Sorry, it's going a little bit slower than I'm reading. Handled as an abduction. To date, LAPD detectives have not made. Speed this up a little bit. Any public statement about the case despite widespread media attention. So what do you guys think just from that? Now we're going to hear a different side of things. Again, I've seen this PI work on a bunch of different cases. Some I've seen him do some decent work. Others I really couldn't verify, his work to what he stated. So, I mean, in a way, I hope that's true. That means, she's not being trafficked and she's just on the spiritual thing. But again, at the end of the day, why hasn't somebody reached out? That's the part that doesn't make sense.
To the Grove and was seen in the background of a video attending a LeBron James event. And on Monday, the 11th, Hannah went back to the airport. At some point, she sent some very concerning texts.
Yeah.
She was saying that she was scared and had been tricked, quote, into giving away all my funds for someone I thought I loved. That same night, Hannah was reportedly seen leaving the airport with an unidentified person. But later that night, surveillance video, which has not been released, shows Hannah at a train station, also with an unidentified person. I spoke to Hannah's aunt a few days ago about the video. Take a listen.
So I'm going to play this. This has a little bit of dog, and because he knew her, he's going to talk about her. And then right after this is I have the interview. Again, it's not with the interview with the actual guy. He just put a post in, I don't know, like the main Facebook page of the Hannah missing thing. But he goes into detail, allegedly speaking with Hannah and the alleged man, which... it sounds legit. Again, you have to take everything, that kind of stuff with a grain of salt. But we'll hear both sides. Yeah, and I've worked on some cases. Again, I'm not an expert in work at, I am just a
reason that Hannah
a YouTuber, but I've worked on the case with Aiden Clune, which that case, 19-year-old who... Unfortunately, there was some death in the family, and they were coming out of the COVID era, and he just kind of, unfortunately, just had a mental, I don't know if mental breakdown is the right word, but he started being paranoid, and yeah, it was some kind of mental issues, and he ended up just driving out into Nevada. There was a bunch of things in between that happened of course, as well. But long story short, he parks his truck in the middle of the freeway, in the middle of nowhere, and he just wanders off into a mountain range. We searched for him all this summer. We did eventually find his shoes, which is the first physical evidence in 2 years, and now that's resulted into cadaver dogs searching for him. We're hoping next year they'll find him. But anyway, long story short, yeah, it's amazing how people can be normal and then all of a sudden, mental health. It's
go there.
Terrible thing.
Unless she was misled, unless she was forced to, or unfortunately now we're thinking unless she was drugged. It made us extremely alarmed, to the point where we started sounding the alarm as loud as we could.
What, after seeing the video, you mean?
Definitely possible.
Yes.
It's already such a sad situation, and now there's another twist to the story. Hannah's father, Ryan, who had gone to LA to search for his daughter, has taken his life. He was actually supposed to be on with me too, and was feeling emotional, and now we find out that he has committed suicide. And now here to help us make some sense of all of this is former FBI agent, News Nation Law and Justice contributor Jennifer Coffendorfer, and Dog, the bounty hunter, who actually knows Hannah. It's good to see both of you. Jennifer, I want to start with you. You heard the aunt. She told me that they were disturbed by the surveillance video. The police showed the family surveillance video, but they haven't made the video public. But she didn't want to go into detail. She didn't want to interfere with the investigation. What do you think is going on here? What do you think that video might show?
Well, when you look at the timeline, There was always communication with the family. Her phone was always working. She actually took special steps to charge it to make sure it was working. But then on the 11th, the same time she's seen with this individual who's a stranger, and after some very cryptic messages came in, even mentioning deep state hackers, all of a sudden she's missing. I think that piece of surveillance is critical, and I think she could be in the hands of a stranger taking advantage of her and the situation.
And Dog, you actually knew Hannah, which I kind of wondered about because you're from Hawaii. Hannah's from Hawaii. I know you've got.
Yeah, that's where it gets weird because she's going on a spiritual awakening. You know, what's up with the deep state hackers? And then again, like I said, there's a lot of layers to this, and I can only cover so much because I try to keep it within about hour and a half show for you guys. But we still got a little bit more. And a little clip from the interview from a guy that got hacked, that his name has been brought up from a Venmo payment that came from Hannah. And so it does kind of corroborate with what she said in there. That's her identity, and she was hacked. So, you know, if you got hacked, I don't know. Are you going to go on a spiritual awakening with all that going on? I don't know. This is a wild story.
A lot of connections there. What do you know about her?
Well, it wasn't me actually that knew it. Was my daughter Cecily, and Hannah had spent the night 3 or 4 times with us in Oahu, in Honolulu, and then Hannah, moved on to Maui. But I agree with Jennifer 100%. You know, we used to teach our real children. We used to say stranger danger, and now it's getting into Hannah's 31 years old. All women beware. There are things happening, especially in California. There are things happening that are unbelievable. And, I think she was snatched. And one thing about it, I hope to God that she's still alive.
Yeah, I mean, we all do. Jennifer, just thinking, the police haven't really said much. Dog says maybe she was snatched. You would think if that was the case, there would be press conferences. There would be flyers everywhere. They would be out every day saying, this is the description of who we think took her. We're not hearing much from police, Jennifer.
Yeah, it's strange because they make arguments for both sides. Like, yeah, if there was serious concern, but then again, if they have leads, they're going to keep stuff close to the vest. For people that have covered true crime, that is one of the things that's so frustrating because you hear that they got surveillance footage or some kind of photo or something, and it has maybe a possible suspect or suspicious vehicle or something, and they don't release it, or eventually they release it, but yeah, that happens a lot.
Well, the reason we're not hearing from them is because there is going to be video surveillance all over that airport, all over that subway station,
should be
all
everywhere.
over these venues where she's been.
Agree,
so
Sharon.
they're pouring all over that. Oftentimes when you see law enforcement reach out, it's because they don't have any more clues to go with. Law enforcement has a lot they're working with right now.
What do you make, Doc, some of the text messages that the family has said they received?
And send money to the guy, and then he's not real. So I don't think that it was that. I think the text messages was not Hannah.
What do you make of the text, Jen?
Well, I agree. And I agree because of this. The family says they know her vernacular. Remember in cases like Anna Knezevich, or of course, Gabby Petito, where the family pointed out straight away, listen, this does not sound like anything that she would write. And that's what the family is saying here. It's not going with how she texts or her vernacular.
Yeah, I think she used like emojis. I know somebody's in here that's really knows a lot about this case. Lascara? I'm sorry if I butchered that. Coming out, and that's something I've read too. Yeah, that like the more this has gone on, there's been less information, sadly.
And what do you make, Jennifer? I mean, it's so tragic. I couldn't really believe it, but that the dad went to LA to help find her and then took his own life. I mean, how do you process that?
Well, he searched for 13 days, long and hard. And I can't imagine the grief that would overcome a father in this way. And so it seems to me that the motive would have been very clear, at least from his eyes, absolute despair and frustration. And you add on to that, Brian, and the family pointed this out, people not believing the family, people in social media actually going after the family, poo-pooing what they had to say, saying, oh, she's really not missing. She's just on some sort of venture or something like that. It was awful. And the family said, please don't talk like this. We're at a very vulnerable state. And then look what happened.
Do you think they're going to find her, Dog? I mean, how do you think this is going to play out?
Well, I think they are going to find her. We have a new administration coming in, and there's going to be a lot.
Okay, so I'm going to skip this forward. I just want to shout out Heather. Thank you so much for the PayPal. That helps out this channel so much. We try to give back as much as we can by featuring missing people and also going out and searching for people when the weather's right and kind of depending on the case. But let's move forward from here so we can listen to this interview, which I put together while we're listening to the interview. I tried to put together the actual places that she was at to kind of show you her last kind of how she was traveling that
the
last
placard,
day.
and you can kind of see the person's legs behind it.
Yeah, and there is a song on this video, and the song that Hannah chose was "A Change Is Gonna Come" by Sam Cooke. Now, personally, I don't see anything strange about this post at all. A lot of people in the comments are trying to pick it apart and say that there's like a hidden message or that the song is trying to relay something. But Hannah's an artistic person. You know, she was somewhere new at a cool event. So to us, it just seems like a regular post.
Yeah, she's just kind of highlighting part of her trip and going, hey, I was at this event.
Yeah, this isn't a mystery novel. You know, I don't see at all how it's helpful to just assume that she is leaving breadcrumbs. You know, I don't see that at all. But this is the last post that she made to Instagram, again on Sunday, November 10th, 2024. After this event, we have no idea where Hannah went, but according to her family, she is believed to have returned to LAX that night. So it kind of seems like she was utilizing LAX as a place to sleep and continue to wait for standby flights, but then, you know, exploring the area in the day. And I do think this makes a lot of sense that, you know, she missed her connecting flight and she wants to explore the city she's already in for a while she's trying to get a new flight. It just seems like she's making the most of a kind of negative situation, especially after the trip already wasn't going quite as planned without her boyfriend, who, by the way, did make it to New York. And then, of course, if Hannah can get a standby flight to New York, she would still be able to enjoy at least a few days there. So the next that we know about Hannah's whereabouts are...
So this is a podcast. I'll show the podcast name here in a minute, but this is where they'll mention, if you haven't heard, this is very interesting, is about the guy I just been foreshadowing earlier that allegedly spoke with her and this alleged black male that was allegedly with her and kind of the last time she was seen, and what he had obviously observed along with the conversations they had. So first they just kind of go over her text messages, and then they get into the last moments.
A big focus of this case, because things really seemed to take an unsettling turn on Monday, November 11th. That day, we do not know where Hannah was all day until later that night, but she did send a text to an aunt in New York saying, quote, "Hi, loves. I just finished a very intense spiritual awakening. I'm charging my phone and heading back to the airport to get to NYC. I might need some help getting there. It's a long story. I'll keep you posted. I think I still have my hotel room." Hannah also allegedly apologizes for the, quote, craziness and says, quote, "I have definitely been in..."
So this is interesting because this is on November 11th, this is the first messages. And these ones are to the aunt, not the friend, where the friend gets the really weird ones. But it's interesting because she talks about the hotel room, which if this is somebody else having her phone, they would certainly know a lot about her, because here it says must see Tycho, which is Tycho's something in New York. Again, I don't know if somebody had mentioned that in chat already. I think it's in Brooklyn or something like that. I don't know what the Tycho is. If you want to explain it in chat, I know I could probably just Google it in 2 seconds. But to me, this sounds like this is her, and there's an emoji, which, according to the family, is what she uses.
Intercepted. I say apparently because there is a screenshot of the text that I just read, but these other ones, we don't have a text of them, but this is what her family is reporting was said. But definitely concerning. You know, the first one seems kind of normal. Oh, I am still coming to New York. But then to say, I have definitely been intercepted is a little bit concerning, especially with what else was said.
Yeah, and we can't confirm when these other text messages were sent. This hasn't been released, but at some point while Hannah was in LA, she texted a friend saying, quote, "I got hacked." Now the friend responds, quote, "Hacked by who?" Then Hannah responds again saying, "Stripped of my identity. I can't fly." The friend then says, "Wait, what? How did you get to LA from Maui?" Hannah then replies, "Some weird shit, babe." The friend then asks Hannah to explain so that she can try and help, and Hannah says, "I can't go to the PO," likely meaning the police. Hannah's friend then says, "Explain it to me so I can try and be of help to you." Hannah then alarmingly says, "I got tricked pretty much into giving away all of my funds for..."
Okay, so we've got 2 more things to go over, and then we'll finish up here. There's still a little bit more. There's plus I got a small clip of the interview of the guy Jonathan, who she sent a Venmo to, I believe on, it was either on the 9th or the 10th, one of those two, or it might have been November 8th. Somebody know in the chat, please correct me. So yeah, this JLR did track this guy down and did an interview with him, and it's very interesting because there are some things that he talks about that lines up with what allegedly is being said in here. So it's a wild rabbit hole, not gonna lie. So I'm gonna play this. I know we kind of already went over the messages. They're kind of just read them out, and then they're gonna get into the subway, the metro station guy. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put up a poll while we listen to this.
"Someone that I thought I loved. I've been on the streets." She also apparently told a friend, quote, "Deep hackers wiped my identity, stole all of my funds, and have had me on a mindfuck since Friday." Because were these texts coming from Hannah herself? We don't really know.
Yeah, and again, at this point, because like you're saying, the police are keeping a lot of the information to themselves, the family is not able to release certain details. We don't know when a lot of these other texts were sent. And again, if there was other communication, if anybody talked to her on the phone and confirmed that she was okay and what was happening, if she had any money, if she was on the streets, what does that mean? We know she slept at the airport a lot, but how was she eating? You know, how was she getting around? We know we're going to talk about in a second that she took the metro, but was she taking the metro the whole time? Because to get from different parts of LA to LAX, like LAX is not in the middle of LA. It's in Inglewood. It's out of the way.
Right, and Los Angeles just as a whole is not a walkable city. Like you pretty much have to drive to get anywhere or take some sort of public transit.
Absolutely.
But let's go back to Monday, November 11th, after Hannah sent that text to her aunt that she was headed back to the airport and was going to find a flight to New York City. And this is a very important piece of this story because at 4 p.m. that day, Hannah's phone pings for the very last time at LAX before going dark. At 5 p.m., according to her family's most recent timeline, Hannah was seen talking to a ticketing agent at LAX. But that would not be the last time that she would be seen, because hours later, at 9:04 p.m.
Let me turn up my mic. Okay, so here we're going to get into the story, and here I'm going to show you kind of like where she's traveling. And there is a little bit of confusion, but I think she still was last seen at this, near this crypto place, which is off the C line, B. I think it's a C or the B line or A line. Oh, I got them all mixed up, but we'll look at it here.
Hannah is seen boarding the LAX.
Oh, and I've got the poll up top. So if you want to, since now we've covered most of it, we still have a little bit more. But just in case you want to share what you think happened to her.
Metro C line at Aviation Century Station, which is the metro station located right outside of LAX.
Yeah, that's a good...
So this would obviously make sense if she couldn't get a standby flight still and decided to take public transportation to go somewhere else. But where was she going? This line travels east, but then Hannah transferred trains at the Rosa Parks station
that's a good
so that
question,
she could then
Golden.
travel north more into Los Angeles by taking the A line. According to a story shared with her family on the Help Us Find Hannah Facebook group, someone remembers being on that train with Hannah and another man.
So this is very interesting. Again, we've got to take it with a grain of salt. But the story sounds, it's not like super wild. It sounds legit. But again, it's possible this guy's telling the truth, but maybe it was just another couple. But it sounds like, he asked the lady where she was from, and she said Maui. So, yeah, did anyone call? Her phone, Kat, eventually stopped working on sometime November 11th, kind of later in the evening, I think. I forget the time. I want to say like 4 p.m. is when the phone last stopped, and then she was last seen around like 9:53 p.m. is the time I have. Yeah, can they clone their phone? Yeah, there's so many good questions you guys have. I'm sure a lot of that has been done. Maybe we just don't have the answers. But I'm going to go ahead and play this quickly. Shout out to Sandra. God bless you. Thank you so much for the PayPal. You are amazing and a legend. Thank you so much for the support. God bless you guys.
And Hannah's sister, Sydney, was actually the one that shared this post. And this is what it said.
Hello. I remember seeing Hannah alongside a male, African-American male. Hannah had a suitcase with her. The male with her offered my son and I his seat when we...
So far that sounds true because I don't know if he mentions the backpack, but she had a backpack, and at that point, this is after she went to the LAX to get her luggage, which would have been just, a bag. So she would have had her backpack and her suitcase that we saw in that photo. So far this lines up.
Got to the Sea Line station at the Lenox Hawthorne entrance. We were coming back from the LA Rams game. I then began speaking to the male about the football game and about the Sea Line access to the game shuttle. During our conversation, Hannah did mention something about transportation where she's from. I asked her where she's from, and she quietly said she was from Maui. She was wearing her hair down. She had glasses on and a dark-colored sweater. When they got closer to their exit, the male did tell Hannah that they were going to be getting off on Avalon exit. That is where they both got off, and only the man said goodbye. He also told me thank you for the information about the transportation history we discussed, and I just said no problem, make sure you look it up. I had shared that the first person that was ever fatally struck by the Metro when it first opened up years ago was mother to my aunt's husband. We also discussed information about the Metro and 105 freeway. Hannah didn't really speak much. She seemed really tired and out of it and disassociated. Lost even. They didn't seem to...
That's very concerning because that's what they had said, that this last surveillance footage shows her, appeared to be possibly drugged. We don't know, but she didn't seem herself. Hannah, I think she's 31. If she's born in 93, unless her birthday's in December, then she would be 31. Long Beach Chippy says, Avalon exit is bad area. Damn. Yeah, isn't that... I know Skid Row is somewhere around in where she was at some point. I've only been to San Francisco a long time ago. I never went to LA. I hate downtown areas. Any downtown. I'm not a big fan.
know each other well. I am almost 100% sure this was her.
Oh, there you go.
I hope the cameras can be checked on the platform of Sea Line and or inside the train. And remember, Sea Line is what she was taking from LAX before switching lines at the Rosa Parks station, like Heath said. This person is saying that they got off at Avalon. That is the exit right before Rosa Parks station. Her family says she got off at Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks Station is where she would then transfer to take the A line to go into Los Angeles and not be taken further east. So I think this person is confused. It does seem to be Rosa Parks. But this is crazy if what this person is saying is true. If they really did see Hannah, if she seemed disoriented or out of it, if she was with this chatty man.
And then on top of that, I think what, is just as important is hopefully this person who potentially saw them is able to identify this male that she was with. Any facial features, what he was wearing, if there's anything else that they could have noticed about this person.
Yeah, I mean, finding that person would be really important. And of course, we're all wondering, have police looked at the train footage? Is it still available? Did they get it in time? They don't have the
known time on another surveillance camera. But this time, she's seen about 17 miles northeast of the airport in downtown Los Angeles in the vicinity of the Pico Metro station.
And this would be a stop on the A line. So this matches up.
Yes. And this station is a rail system located on Flower Street at the intersection of Pico Boulevard near the Crypto.com Arena, which is a massive sports and concert venue with a sporting event scheduled for that night. This footage has not been released to the public, but Hannah's family has seen it, and they describe that Hannah, quote, does not appear to be in good condition, and she is not alone.
Yeah, they are staunch on the fact that Hannah is in danger, especially after seeing this footage, that she is very much in danger.
So basically on the footage, she's departing the station with an unknown individual. Likely the person that was described in the post that Daphne just read. Hannah's aunt said more on her communication earlier that day, quote, we started getting texts saying that she didn't feel safe, that someone was trying to steal her funds, that someone was trying to take her identity, weird things, calling us babe, things that weren't quite the normal way that she speaks. But the problem is, with Hannah's phone last pinging at LAX, it seems that her phone likely died. And now it's been almost 2 weeks since this happened with no confirmed sightings after this.
The RAD movement, which is a nonprofit organization, has been assisting in the search. And
31-year-old Hannah Kobayashi has long brown hair, hazel.
So here is now, and then we'll look at the map here and then we'll finish up, guys. I appreciate everybody being in here. We almost got we have 700 people in here. If you can, please hit that like button, get her story out there. I do appreciate the support. There are other ways to support this channel as well, but if you hit the like button, I appreciate it. So just a couple more things here, just to kind of connect some of this, where she's mentioning that she was hacked and all that. Here's an interesting story. So obviously her Venmo kind of got leaked out, but it was posted out, and you can see her sending this money to this Jonathan Taylor. I blocked the names. I was trying to be, because a lot of times people will post names and then people go digging into these people and they have nothing to do with it. They just, unfortunately, their names get thrown out there. But it is really odd. So she says, pays this guy for a reading, but the story behind it is absolutely bizarre. And that would just be a show in itself. But I'll play just a kind of a highlight of what this guy apparently happened to him. It's really odd.
Mid-order to Venmo.
I think it was like 20 or $25.
And so I have the 25. So I was
Okay, now I just want to let you guys know this is Jonathan Taylor. JLR Investigates did an interview with him. I think it was uploaded today. Now, this guy, I believe, is disabled. I don't know his exact conditions. I think he might be paralyzed. So if you think he's like under the influence, I don't think so. I think it's just, sadly, he's disabled. So just be nice in the chat. But here's just a little bit of clip. And then Jonathan kind of summarizes what he had been listening to, because it took a long while for it to kind of unfold as he was because the guy's, unfortunately disabled.
Ancestors bank account for you. You will send it. But he wants to try to do it through Bitcoin.
And that's a red flag. Bitcoin is. That means it's untraceable.
And
so I think JLR had asked him, like, hey, can you get me the information that, because apparently this guy had, well, I'll let him explain it because I'll probably say it wrong.
And they wanted you to send it Bitcoin.
Okay, here we go.
So this is something you got on the 9th yourself about sending money,
Right.
25, and they wanted you to send it Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Was this before the Venmo payment that Hannah sent to your account?
no, this is after.
After?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm still confused. That's why,
Yeah.
and this is you. This is you to clarify and set the record straight of what's going on. I'm sure the viewers will also be confused by all this, but I kind of get what you're saying. You're pretty much saying that you've been hacked or your account has been hacked.
Yeah.
By somebody from possibly Africa that you were communicating with before.
Yeah, South Africa.
What makes you think that person from South Africa hacked into your Venmo?
Well, he didn't really hack into my Venmo. He just got my name. I actually got into my account and started taking money out. I just sent him my Venmo name.
So you had money stolen from your Venmo account?
Yeah.
How much?
Not actually stolen. I was just giving him money.
How much? How much did you have you give?
Probably over $1,000.
Do you mind if I ask why?
Because I was actually looking for some spiritual help as well.
Were you getting the spiritual help that when you were paying?
No. That was all scams. And I'm pissed.
So yeah, again, if you want to check it out, JLR Investigates. I'm sure a lot of you probably heard of him. There's an interview. I'm sure all you have to just look up Hannah and JLR if you want to hear that interview. I didn't get to hear the whole thing. I was jumping around grabbing different things just to get as much of the story or as much as I could, although there's still a lot more rabbit holes to go down. But yeah, apparently from what I had listened, I'm sure there's more to it. Maybe somebody in chat maybe heard the whole thing and could maybe explain it better, but it sounded like he originally said he got hacked, but then it sounded like he's just sending this guy money. But I don't know how his name got meant, like his name showed up, like Hannah sent him money for a reading, but yet this reading was supposed to come from another guy in like supposedly South Africa is what I'm understanding. I could have it completely wrong. And then I don't know, maybe this was all a scam. Sounds like a scam. Pretty sure it was. Cause I know you can't send money through Venmo to South Africa cause, they don't have that in South Africa. So I don't know how that all went down. Oh, I love Kit Boga. Oh, that's awesome, Susie. I used to watch him long before I became a YouTuber. Oh my gosh, amazing. Yeah, he goes after those scammers, man. Amazing guy. But yeah, what a weird story. So let me see what chat or what you guys have here. Oh, this is interesting. So only 7% think she went on a spiritual awakening, Which I would agree, especially after the death of her father, even if they were estranged, knowing, unless she's out somewhere where she just has no access to, a phone, social media, whatever, news, she's just cut off completely. That would be the only way for a spiritual awakening. I cannot see her putting her, again, even if her father they were estranged, the fact that he went out there searching, it drove him to, take his life, and to see that and not hear from her, and that's 3 days ago when he took his life. I really don't buy it. Not to say it's still, it's still a possibility, but then the human trafficking or some kind of abduction. I kind of had to. I could only do 3 options when I'm live, unless I do a pre-poll. So, but then 48% not sure something else happened. So kind of interesting poll there. Let me move that down there. Scientology. Oh gosh, that'd be a show. I've been fascinated with Scientology. Not actually getting into Scientology, but the whole bizarre stuff that's going on with that. Not to get sidetracked, but yeah, that is a wild case when it comes to Scientology. Christina says this case will be solved. I think it will. I think eventually there'll be some cameras. I mean, we're talking about Los Angeles where there's, she was last seen at a metro station. There's got to be tons of cameras out there. But just before we head out, this is where she was last seen. So here's Skid Row right here. Here's the crypto arena, and the Pico, I'm trying to look, I think it's right here, and Flower Street. So this is where she was last spotted. I'm not sure where the exit's at. This might be the exit right here. This could be the one. I could be wrong, but this could be the one that she was last seen exiting with a unidentified male. Now, I'm sure if we looked around, I'm sure there's cameras. There's cameras right there. I don't know, those look like lights, but that looks like a camera. Maybe a light. I'm sure some of these are cameras, but I'm sure there's got to be cameras just all over this place. So, oops. Oh, whoa. There's my chat. Bring that back over. Anyway, let me get caught up in chat here. Yeah, the Scientology, again, not to get sidetracked, but that, maybe one day we'll do a story on it. That is, they're still missing the wife of the leader. Anyway, but I believe this could be the last place that she was seen. Yeah, cameras everywhere. Yeah, you would think. And there's got to be a good possibility that somebody, that was on a trip or just a local that had cameras, dash cameras. I mean, people need to, anybody that's out there that knows a friend that was in this area, especially around this time, go back and look at their camera footage and see, if there's more footage of her out there. Yeah, I heard that there's only only 3 or 4 missing person detectives out there in the LA scene. That is kind of scary. Let's definitely happy Thanksgiving Eve and happy holidays and Thanksgiving to everybody that is out there that celebrates that, is preparing for that. God bless all the people out there cooking and doing all the hard work to feed the families. That's so amazing. with that, I think we'll finish up. We've been live for an hour and a half. That's about as long as we go. Again, thank you to all that hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you to those that sent a PayPal or a donation. Sandra, thank you so much. And I forget the other one that sent me. My apologies. But bless you guys. I may do a live tomorrow. We'll have to see. Maybe late in the evening after everybody's done their turkey and stuff. But with that, we'll keep an eye on this case. And if anything develops, we'll go live again. With that, thank you to my wonderful mods, as always, for your hard work. And again, happy holidays to everybody. God bless. Prayers for the Kobayashi family. Hope they get answers. And with that, we will see you guys very soon. To my mods or to my members of Patreons, I will have some videos coming out again this week. And thank you so much, guys. Much love. We will see you guys very soon.